Greetings, everyone. This is Rock and Roll Spot Connection with the weekly comic book roundup. We covered this week's Marvel books already, and now we're going to be trying our new, our potential new format on this week's non-Marvel books. And oh boy, have we got a few things for you. So, first and foremost, we'll kick things off with Magic #1 from Boom Studios. Yes, this is based on the collectible card game. You know, you may have heard of it. It's called Magic: The Gathering. It's it's a collectible card game. You know, it's kind of the first. It's a kind of a big thing. You know, I mean, just kind of. It's not like you can find booster packs for it. You know, Walmart. Yeah, it's huge. Anyway. So, Magic: The Gathering #1. First off, I will also show. I picked up 2 copies. There was a hidden Planeswalker variant. I presume there are multiple. It had a covering over it, so I presume there are multiple ones. It's a nice way to nod to. It has a definite feel of getting the whole feel of opening a booster pack, because hey, you don't know which Planeswalker is going to be on that Planeswalker cover. But I presume there's at least 4 more Planeswalker covers. If nothing else, just to cover the other 4 members of the the Gatewatch. More on that later. But probably quite a few more, actually, to be perfectly honest. Anyways, so the first issue. Sets up is honestly just set up. It's largely set on Ravnica. For those unaware, Ravnica is referred to as the City of Guilds. It's basically an entire planet that is just a city, and you have some outskirts areas as well. But anyway, Ravnica is run based by 10 guilds. There are also those within the city who are not members of the guilds, but each guild is represented in the game by a two-color combination of mana. But assassins attack 3 of the guild masters, who are also planeswalkers. Planeswalkers are mages that can travel from plane to plane. But the guild master of the Izzet Guild, Ral Zarek, is attacked, as is the guild master of the Golgari Collective, Vraska, and the guild master of the Orzhov Syndicate, Kaya. So, but yeah, we get kind of a quick thing about some other cities in the Magic multiverse. But we get things like Niv Mizzet, the former leader, the founder of the Izzet Guild. He is chair of the Guild Pact, a Gearwork dragon, soul reborn into a Mizium and crystal body of his own design. But yeah, so the 3 planeswalkers are attacked by assassins. Ral inadvertently leaves one of them alive and takes him prisoner. However, Kaya and Vraska kill the others. So he's taken to the Azorius. The Azorius Guild. The Azorius Senate is the legislative body of Ravnica, and it also has a law enforcement body. The Guild Master is not a planeswalker, but a former guild agent named Lavina. There are references made to the past between Vraska and Jace Belner when he arrives to interrogate the surviving assassin. For those unaware, and I was just until a little bit ago one of the unaware, Vraska and Jace had a relationship, starting while Jace was amnesiac on the plane of Ixalan, and Vraska was there doing the bidding of Nicol Bolas, And then after he regained his memories, they continued on. However, and after the wars with Spark, they were together, but it was short lived. And yeah, but you get there's one scene with them that kind of at least acknowledges their history as Vraska's a little caught by surprise by Jace's appearance. So as Jace does look into the assassin, something goes wrong and he is injured. But yeah, the assassin is killed, and so the three guildmasters later planeswalk to the plane of Zendikar, to meet in private to figure out who's trying to kill them and what they're going to do about it. We also get an idea of how each of them sees the multiverse, which is actually really neat. Ral, being a scientist, sees it as gear work, something he can understand. For Kaya, it's an infinity of silent ghosts, and for Vraska, it's an endless rot of life and death, decay and rebirth. It's things that comfort them. So, for considering the fact that it basically it served to set the story up, they did a very good job, and props to Jed McKay, writer of the recently completed Taskmaster miniseries, as well as writer of the ongoing Black Cat series and the upcoming Moon Knight series. Moving on, though, to we got Image Comics Nocterra #2. So Nocterra is a creator-owned book by Scott Snyder and Tony Daniel. Takes place on an Earth that been plunged into darkness for the last 13 years. That darkness seems to mutate anything left out in it, including people, or any organic matter left out in it. Nocterra refers to the Earth, the state of the Earth, though. Our heroine is a ferryman who goes by the call sign Sundog, but we've also got her brother who has spent too much time out in the dark, and her fare. Last issue, she accepted a fare, and someone came to after she left to make trouble to kill her fare. So we get a flashback to the early days. Her parents tried to reassure her and her brother, Val Sundog and her brother, but it really didn't do much to reassure her, and she also tried to reassure her brother about what was going on. But they make it to one of the ports, the Neon Grove, and there's a lot of world building here. Eventually, her boss back at the city that she lives in calls her up and tells her what happened with her tale. But we also learn of two of the other ports: the Billboard Castle and the Fluorescent Cliffs. But yeah, Bellwether, Val's boss, explains that a man by the name of Blacktop Bill is after her. So, but her fare tells her that he and his brother made a machine. They were trying to, take a look at various other, realities, and they thought they had found one that was for basically heaven. They called it Lux Terra, but it seemingly opened up a portal of darkness, though, and that's what happened to the Earth. That's what he claims happened. Anyway, Blacktop Bill shows up with his crony, his henchman, and he claims he has a way to save her brother. Val's brother, after all, is changing. But eventually her fare explains that, tells her the truth that, the machine, he built the machine, and They found the worst darkness, and there's no way back. The truth is, they're in hell, and they're here, and they're there to stay forever. So, with that, Sundog leaves Bill, pops some explosives in his wake, and heads out. And gains Bill's admiration. And now we move on to this week's DC book, starting with Batman number 107. Where we left off, in the aftermath of A-Day, Simon Saint, I believe, or the head of Saint Industries, was pushing for the magistrate program with the mayor. At a later point, Batman has been kidnapped by a Scarecrow and is being tortured by him, and he's remembering the events leading up to his capture. But at the end of the last issue, a Scarecrow was seen in the mayor's home. Batman breaks in, finds out that it's just a typical Scarecrow. No trace of fear toxin or anything. Which is when Commissioner Montoya shows up. But Batman escapes, and yeah. Elsewhere in Gotham, a guy's stabbing people and is apprehended by Harley Quinn. Turns out she recognizes the guy. His name's Benji Fink. And, she explains that he's a real nut, but the guy's a real nut, but he's real sweet when he's on his meds. Apparently he's calling himself Stabbo. And, he's been referred to as Roswell Park Stabber. Cops show up, and Harley smacks one of them in the face with her baseball bat, and is then said to be working with Robinson Park Stabber. However, Ghostmaker rescues her, and a note is left on Stabbo that say that he really just needs his meds. But someone is watching Harley's actions. Someone with apparently pets made of plants, but not with someone who is clearly not Pamela Isley. At the clock tower, Oracle explains that she's said that she's making a new bat signal. It's going to be a portable thing. Never use the same building twice. Turn on the signal. Batman shows up, talks to A. Gordon about the crisis of the day. Yeah, move the signal to another one. And we also learned that Scarecrow was believed to be killed in what happened at Arkham. However, Batman took a look at the body. And it turns out it was just prosthetics on a body double. He got. He's also asked about the Insanity Collective, and basically is told the only way to really find out about it is to join them. The mayor has invited Simon Saint to a groundbreaking event, but Scarecrow contacts him. Basically says, we're going to have to escalate things, which means people are going to get hurt. If you want the magistrate, they're going to have, people are going to get hurt. So, but that's what it's going to have to take to save Gotham. In the Narrows, man goes to join the Insanity Collective. The man identifies himself as none other than Match. Yeah, it's Bruce Wayne. He's using Match's Malone identity. We got a backup story featuring Ghostmaker. He has a custom-built radar-invisible jet fighter. He's flying over the South China Sea and heading to Double Skull Island. We're going after Madame Midas, the richest woman on Earth. And we meet some of his former enemies, some of those he's encountered previously and have survived. The Instigator, magically transformed martial artist and terrorist who looks like a giant crocodile. Razor Line, unspeakable otherworldly horror, Kid Kawaii, a ferrofluid assassination robot, and Brainstorm, genetically engineered telekinetic. I think Brainstorm has actually previously existed. But Ghostmaker arrives on the island. Madame Midas wants to know how it is that these four survived and what they, basically, so to take the best parts about, use it to, kill Ghostmaker, who has arrived on the island and ends up fighting off some laser tigers, robot laser tigers. And that is where the issue ends. Which brings us to what I mistakenly thought was actually a continuation of one of the future, or a prequel to one of the Future State titles, though kind of sort of as a prequel, but it's not under the Future State line. The Next Batman, Second Son, number 1. So we get the origins of. We learn more about Jace Fox, the man who in Future State was Batman. We see Tim Fox, or we formerly known as Tim Fox. We also see Luke Fox, Lucius Fox. We also see shortly after he was returned home by Grifter, that Tim and Luke's sister had to be hospitalized. But before he was brought home by Grifter, Jace was going after criminals in his own way, taking them down, getting the evidence and all that. But he was expected, and so barely escaped, but he had to go back to Gotham in that position. When he arrives, however, Tim, or Luke, his brother, is operating as Batwing, and it turns out this is happening in the around the same time frame as A-Day. So this is not happening in the future. This is leading up to the future. So, but currently operating as Batwing is Luke Fox, not Jace Fox. But Jace does not get along too well with his father, especially now his father is super rich. Wayne family fortune. We also get Nakano asking Montoya to be the commissioner, and in the aftermath of the attack on Arkham is when she accepts. But it's a miniseries, which that's fine. I'm totally fine with that. But so the Next Batman, Second Son. Clearly referring to the fact that Jace is the younger Fox son. But anyways, moving on to our next book, which is Crime Syndicate, number 2. Where we left off, Starro and the Starro drones were invading Earth 3, but for some reason they were going after metas though, and Owlman had noticed them when they began to arrive in Gotham. So we get Owlman fighting off the Starros. In Washington, D.C., Superwoman and President Oliver Queen are fighting them off as well. Same with Secret Service. When Ultraman shows up, under the thrall of one, Superwoman and Ultraman fight while Owlman dissects one of the Starro drones that he's taken with the aid of his butler Alfred. In space, the Superwoman and Ultraman smash through the ISS, venting it, including venting the astronauts within. But they look at the various points where there are... turns out Ultraman is trying to recruit Superwoman at the behest of Starro. Owlman discovers where everyone that's being attacked by, or all the cities being attacked by Starros, and we learn that the metas in Gotham are culled by Owlman. Also, he has Power Ring's battery. But possessed Johnny Quick when Ultraman and Superwoman return to Earth. Johnny Quick kicks Superwoman in the face, but she explains that the Amazons have fought Starro before, and if they try to use them, make her put her under the control of Starro, well, she'll kill both Ultraman and Johnny Quick before meeting her ancestors. Before they can go any further, however, all the Starro drones in Washington are killed as Power Ring basically slams a sword made of green energy through it. Owlman hacks Power Ring's ring. They discuss some of the things that discuss what needs to happen, and more Starro drones attack John Stewart. There's definitely a firestorm. Firestorm Fate. Looks like we got a Rita Farr, Red Beetle, Negative Woman. Looks like a Martian Manhunt, Miss Martian. But yeah, so fighting off the invasion, the crime syndicate is beginning to form up. Batman arrives on the scene explaining who he is, namely that he's the one with the plan. We then get a short story telling the origin of Owlman. Thomas, Martha, and Bruce Wayne were all killed, but their other son, Thomas Jr., lived. Thomas learned how to fight, was attacked by an owl, and we see him going after Harvey Bullock back in 2012. Bullock, turns out, was the shooter. Thomas remembers he was there. And Bullock explains, your parents were corrupt. They were trying to take over. They were trying to take over for Boss Gordon. I got hired to, but he was told, he told me, don't kill you, leave you alive. And so, Owlman drops him from a building. And yeah, he apparently did have that adopted code of no killing. Well, he decided the code doesn't matter after all. And he dropped Bullock to his death. And that is where the issue ends. Which brings us to our final book of the week. Joker Harley, Criminal Sanity, number 8. Where we left off here, Joker, it was clear that the Joker was planning to attack a rock concert. Harley has passed along the information to the GCPD, everyone, but she's also looking over the various files, trying to figure out that, he didn't stop killing in those years. He just, changed methods. The next day, Gordon's trying to get a hold of Harley, ends up going to her place, finds her wall basically saying who, explaining that she figured who the Joker is, and we get some flashbacks to his the last 5 years where he was, getting better at techniques before doing his Vitruvian Man killing. Also utilizing the dark web for weaponry. He puts a chemical bomb in one of the speakers at the concert. It's definitely hinted that the lead singer of the opening act is in fact Dinah Lance. But as the main act takes the stage and starts their set, the bomb goes off. It's the kind of bomb that where you have multiple chemicals, and when they're mixed together, they're harmless on their own, but when mixed together, yeah. But it's a bioagent. It actually has to be a bioagent, and it's burning the everyone in the at the show. Joker goes out to admire his work, and Gordon tries to go out to arrest him, but he's held back by the EMTs. However, Harley says she's not going to let him get away. Chases him down on a bike. They basically have a motorcycle chase that ends at Ace Chemicals. She goes off on him, just lets loose, and he plans to kill her. But she ain't having it. She beats the shit out of him, and she has no plans to take him in. But Gordon shows up, takes Joker into custody, and she decides that psychopaths are the apex predator. Evil exists. Psychopaths are society's apex predators, stalking people in concrete jungles without predators to challenge them. Criminals like the Joker will keep killing unless they're stopped. She thinks to herself that Batman had the right idea, but didn't take it far enough. Someone has to hunt the hunters in the jungle. The animal has the best chance of killing a tiger is one of its own, and she's going to be that someone. And that is where the issue ends. Presumably, that's also where the series ends. And that is it for this week's roundup. As always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Links to my Facebook, Twitter, Patreon, and PayPal can be found in the description box down below. This is Rock and Roll Spock signing off, saying, live long and rock hard.